I'm here with Andrea Resmini, the president of Information Architecture Institute. Hello, Andrea.
Hi.
How are you?
Quite well. It's been an interesting 2 days with a great conference, great crowd, lots of things happening, so it feels good.
Okay, so you studied and you work in many countries like Italy, Denmark, Sweden.
Yep.
Where you currently work?
Yes, I do work in Sweden now.
So how would you compare these countries in terms of information architecture?
Europe is a very, very strange beast from this perspective. There's a lot of local differences. So we have very well established communities in certain areas, but not so much in others. And for example, we do quite a lot of things connected to information architecture and strategic design when we are talking about Sweden, but there's not such a developed community, for example. People are not so active on the international front, for example, as opposed to places like Italy where there's actually an active community and a conference which has been going on for quite a few years now and pretty successful. So my take on that is that the topic itself is still in need of being more visible in some ways. That's also the general idea behind the talk that I had here at the conference, the fact that we want to expose the idea that in order to produce change, and change might very well be better design, of course, you need to think about the systemic elements of whatever you're doing, and that for me means mostly information architecture, as information architecture is the one thing that takes care of all the information needs and all the information elements of the stuff that we do, and we spend an awful lot of time connected and managing or dealing with digital pieces of our lives. So.
You're not only an information architect, but also an architect, aren't you?
I come from architecture, yes.
Mm-hmm. So what do information architecture, this traditional one, have in common?
From my perspective, they have a lot in common, and of course this is sort of like colored by my perspective. I was trained as an architect, I worked as an architect for a few years, so of course that's my lens over what I do. The one thing that I see the two to have mostly in common is this systemic view over the stuff that you do. When I was studying in Milan, one of the things that we were taught at the time was that we had to be the people coordinating the big plans for whatever we were doing, and that was the lens. So we were thinking mostly about the big system and not so much about the small things. So in the case of this building where we are in, that would mean that probably I wouldn't have gone all the way down to considering the chairs we're sitting on, but I would have considered how is the building going to impact the neighborhood, and what is the meaning of having such a building within the city, choosing certain materials, choosing a certain size and shape. And in the end, it's a matter of creating orders in some ways, of managing chaos, which is like the basic thing that architecture does. And I think that we're just translating that into what we do with digital. Part of the work I've been doing and part of the research has to do with the fact that digital and physical are colliding. So we were saying during the talk that if we look at the newer generations, like the millennials and Generation Zers, they don't really make a difference between a football and something they have on the iPad. Those are part of the same reality in some ways. And with these two things coming together, it seems to me that the principles that we use to create physical spaces, which are principles of basic spatial elements that we perceive as being human beings, being close to someone, being separated, having barriers, having boundaries, feeling comfortable in terms of animal feelings. It's one of the things that we're trying to bring to digital space as well. The people at Maya they wrote a book which is called Trillions, which is a very interesting book about information architecture. And they make a distinction saying that there's such a thing as architecture with a capital A, which is the principles that govern the idea that you try to make sense of things. You try to have a meaningful experience of the world. When it comes to physical spaces, that is architecture, as in brick and mortar architecture. When it comes to digital spaces, that's information architecture. That's what you do. You create places with information. And I think those things are sort of very, very linked, in my perspective at least.
So as an architect, what do you think about the venue?
It's a splendid venue. I would love to have the possibility to kind of explore it a little bit more. It's a fantastic building with sort of a very strange clash between the idea of telling the story of the Polish Jews, and so sort of bringing in what is sort of old history for many of the people who visit the place, with this sort of postmodern pastiche of different elements that go from the very organic walls that we have to the very high-tech parts of the building that we're seeing. It seems an extremely comfortable space. One of the things I noticed while I was sitting around was how people were sort of using all the different niches and nooks and crannies to actually, and they were having a good time. So it feels like a personable space, even though it's a huge building in the center of a very large square, and definitely is going to make an impact on the neighborhood. So.
You finished your presentation saying just rethink the peak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I prepared a little gift for you.
Thank you.
It's
oh, fantastic.
It's
Thank
burr.
you. Thank you.
The most popular Polish burr.
Yeah. Okay. What's his name?
Mishu Szatek.
That's difficult.
That's difficult, and rethink the burr.
We'll definitely rethink the burr as well. So thank you so much.
If you could take a picture of this burr.
Yeah.
When you're home, and just send this to us.
I will definitely do that. Thank you.
Thank you.